everybody, welcome to my channel. This is Youmna and welcome to youmsbooks. This is my first video, and in order to introduce myself I wanted to do the newbie tag. So the first question is, why am I opening this channel? There are a few reasons. The main one being I wanted to challenge myself. I have been a big consumer of Booktube videos and YouTube in general for the longest time, and I have always wanted to try out and be part of the internet, of that little space on the internet. And I was telling myself that if I don't start it now, I may never start it. Right now I am excited about this project and I want to challenge myself, so let's go, I guess. Though the second reason is I have found back my interest in reading. I was in the biggest reading slump for the longest time, and I told myself that opening a Booktube channel would make me accountable for my reading. Third reason is I want to practice English more. That's why I decided to do a Booktube channel in English. Second question is, what am I most excited for this channel, about this channel? I guess the answer is quite simple. It's just reading more, discovering more books and more authors, be back on that reading journey. And having this channel will give me the opportunity to do that. So the second thing I'm most excited about is just sharing my love for books and my tastes. I guess if that's like, that makes anyone interested. So yeah, this is the third question is, why do I like reading? One of the fondest memories I have with books is being in my grandma's like little shop she has back at home, and just reading and being like, I knew I was in her shop, but to be honest, I was so far in my adventures that I was reading. And I just sometimes I'm such a nostalgic person, and sometimes I just want to find that back and find that feeling of being in another spot, in another place, in another world. That's just something I really like. So the next question is, so what are my favorite books? And it's very hard to answer that question for me, because I don't necessarily have like a favorite book I will talk about for hours, but I do have books that I really like. So one of my favorite books, Belle Amie by Guy de Maupassant. It has been one of my favorite books since I guess I was in high school. I read it for French class, and I just fell in love with Maupassant. The story follows Georges Duroy, who is poor and an ambitious man who wants to achieve his dream of living in Paris and be successful and rich. I really like this story because it is one of the first characters I found really interesting, because he doesn't make the best choices, morally speaking, but he's still so willing to do the best for himself, and you just follow him and follow what he's doing. And I really like the descriptions of Paris in it, and it was just such a dream to be coming to Paris myself and actually see these buildings and those places and all that. And another thing that I really like about that book is the place of women. And of course, it was written by a man in the 19th century. Let's be honest, there are going to be misogynistic things, but the women are still strong and influential characters in it, and I think it was one of the aspects I really liked in that book. The second book I really liked when I was younger was Eragon. I have had a love for fantasy novels when I was younger, and so yeah, Eragon was one of the first fantasy novels I read, and I just really loved being just drawn in that universe of that fantasy world of dragons and magic, and it was amazing. And right now I'm currently reading The Lord of the Rings, so I'm just back in that nostalgic feeling of reading about silly elves and silly hobbits and silly trolls, and it's just so good actually. And the third book I wanted to talk about is Heidi by Johanna Spyri. So it is the story of Heidi, a little orphan girl who goes to live with her uncle in the Alps. I would advise it to anyone. Just this is actually the copy I read when I was little. As you can see, there are like drawings I did. Last time I read it was actually last year. I read it when I went to the mountains with my friends, and it was just the perfect book to bring with me. Yeah, so those are not my favorite books ever, but those are books that I really like. So the next question is, where do I read? I would love to answer I liked reading in coffee shops and libraries and all those places in Paris, but it is actually not true. It's unrealistic. I read at home. That's mostly what I do, but I occasionally do read outside. And the last question is, what are my top 3 literary genres? So the 3 that come to mind are fantasy novel, contemporary novel, and classics. Yeah, those are my favorite genres, but I hope that channel will allow me to read a little more, to read more genres. I would like to touch on horror. I would like to touch more on manga, which is actually a genre that I really like, but I have not read a lot from. And I actually hope this channel and project will allow me to improve my taste in books and just to discover more genres and more books and more authors and more adventures. So yeah, I guess that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed it, and to leave a comment down below, and I hope I'll see you in the next one. Bye.